So we got Gary Erickson back with us, and he's with Executive Search Partners. And I like to get Gary back every month or so because I know there's a lot of folks out there looking for CIO and CISO jobs, and that's what Gary does. Is he has those jobs available, but it's tricky right now. For instance, Gary, we always ask our guests to send a few questions in advance, and so one of them that caught my eye was, everybody else wants to do remote work, and well, maybe not so much for the CIOs and CISOs, right, Gary?
Well, we're finding it's true across the board for all the positions that we work on. So we do mainly IT, but we also do finance and accounting, occasional plant manager kind of stuff in the manufacturing arena, sometimes marketing, sometimes sales. And nobody wants people that are 100% remote for the jobs that we've been working on. They want them in the office at least 3 days a week. And I think that's a trend across the board. Started with Google, I think, was probably the most obvious one, where they started requiring people to come back to the office. And I think most presidents of companies think that the in the office communications, in the office, getting to know each other is an important part of how companies work.
So how does that jibe with, the expectations of the workforce? Is there a big conflict there, or how is that being resolved?
It's funny. I think it's just sort of a natural evolution. It's going from 100% remote during the pandemic to companies slowly moving people back to the in the office kind of thing, and requiring people to be back in the office. So they're not hiring remote workers anymore. People who say, I want to work 100% remote, are having trouble finding their next 100% remote job.
Well, it's good and it's bad. It's bad in the sense of, if it's 100% remote, you can get anybody anywhere in the world to work for you. But if it's not, then they got to actually be on location, essentially, right?
Yeah, and it also means most people don't want to relocate, and most companies don't want to relocate people. So all of the searches that we've been doing for probably the last 6 months require people from the local area.
And you've got some good news. Why don't we hit that real fast? You've added a couple of warm bodies there. So how many partners do you have now?
That's a good question. 6, I think, plus me. We just added two new partners to the business to do search work. We added Paul Peabody, who's the former CIO of Beaumont Hospital and a very well-respected, well-known Southeast Michigan former chief information officer. And we added Alex Balin, who was the CIO of Mitsubishi, and then he went off on to Infosys and Wipro, where he ran the automotive practice for, I think it was Wipro was his last company. We're very, very pleased to have two such significant career achievement individuals join Executive Search Partners.
All right. Can you tell me, has it been that much of an uptick in business that you felt the need to add these folks? Why add them, and what was it about their unique skill sets that, that made you want to?
That's a very perceptive question. So we're hiring ahead of the trend, if anything else. And the way Executive Search Partners work, each of the partners effectively runs their own business under the banner of Executive Search Partners. So Alex and Paul are out developing and have been developing their own contacts in their own business. And then when they find a business, say Paul finds a CIO for a hospital or a hospital chain, he will bring that to the rest of the Executive Search Partners, who will then help him find the candidates that match what he's looking for.
Okay. Yeah, I understand too. You've won an award, so talk about that for a minute. This is, I guess, the shameless plug territory, or part of it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, we also got lots of news. With 2 new partners, we got recognized as one of the top search companies in the U.S. by MITechNews. I think they picked us because there are very, very few companies out there that focus on information technology executive search. And there are very few companies that have the 6 CIOs as part of the search team. I mean, we know IT, we know what it takes to be there, and we've been in business for 20 years, so we've got great databases, lots of contacts, and a what I think is a very refined and very thorough process for finding and vetting potential candidates for our clients.
So, what are some of the hot jobs out there that I know, and we've talked about this before, you get a lot of resumes for very few jobs. But say in the Michigan area, do you got anything going in the Michigan or Great Lakes area for chance?
Well, we've got a director of IT governance job. We've got a CIO for a small healthcare chain that we're working on now. We've got believe it or not, some senior level finance positions, a plant controller position down in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area. We just filled the director of IT in Chicago for a distribution company. But the market, this is your next question. The market has slowed down.
That would be my next question. Yes. So very good.
Thank you.
We're
the market is
slower,
yeah. What we're finding, it's interesting. If you were to chart the market in general, the economy in general versus the number of searches we've gotten over probably the last 15 to 20 years, there's almost a 1-to-1 correlation. When the market is hot, when people are hiring, people hire us to find candidates. And right now the market is slower. It's not slow, but it's slower. And so the number of searches we've got is probably 60% of what it was last year at this time.
So is an IT job an IT job, or are companies demanding specific industry expertise these days?
Well, one of the things that, especially at the senior level, if you're at a lower level job like a programmer or maybe an analyst or even a project manager, although once you get into that level of skill set, companies, IT is critical to the success of any business, as I've mentioned before on this podcast. And when companies are out there looking for somebody that is going to significantly impact the ability of the business to run better, to increase customer acquisition, to maybe increase product linkages back to the supply chain, there are a number of things that IT can do to make the company better. They want people with, if we have a chance between giving them somebody who's got industry expertise and somebody that doesn't, we can't make the case for somebody who doesn't have the expertise in the industry. So we're always presenting people who are senior IT people who also know the industry.
All right. So you've said before, I know on this program, that the number one way people find new positions is by networking. But besides phone networking, are there any groups, events in Southeast Michigan that you recommend for IT people who want to develop their networks?
Yeah. So first, let me just preface this. There are three ways to find jobs. One is networking, two is recruiters like ourselves, and three is online job postings. Networking is by far the best way to find a job. I've gone to and made presentations at different events, and I've asked the people there, how have you found your last job? How many have found through networking? Almost 80 to 90% of the people invariably raise their hand. The others are recruiters, and online job postings make the other 10 to 20%. So how do you network? All right, you network by phone. You call up people you know, you send them emails, you say, do you have time to talk to me? That's one way to get it. But you also need to meet people. And events like groups like the Detroit Society of Information Management, simnet.org, or the Michigan Council of Women in Technology. Both of those are great organizations to join and to attend their in-person networking events and meet people. And when you're networking, be there not to get something just for yourself, but to give back. If you can help somebody else find a job, that's great. Mm-hmm. And then each of these groups, SIM and MCWT, have their own events. So SIM has got a big event coming up this next Wednesday called Michigan Technology Leaders down at the old CompuWare building. I guess it's called the Quicken building now, or the Rocket Loans building. They're having a wonderful event with over 200 senior level IT people joining. There's another event in the fall by Evanta that's sponsored by the SIM group. MCWT has several large networking activities every year. So we strongly recommend them in addition to the phone networking you might be doing, the email networking you might be doing, that you reach out to and join these different groups.
You're going to fly up from Florida to go to that big Michigan event here in a couple of days?
Well, it was until something happened that we're in the process of we have a house sale that's going on right now, and it's in Denver. And I had a choice of either closing the house sale or going to the Detroit event, and I've got to go to Denver to close the house sale. So no, I'm not getting there. I wish I were, because I was looking forward to it, and I'm on the board of advisors of this particular event. And Executive Search Partners is one of the sponsors.
You would probably be a very popular person there anyway, Gary, because everyone knows what you do. And this is an event for all those people looking for better jobs to rise up through the ranks and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, but fortunately, one of our partners, Paul Peabody, one of our new partners, will be there representing Executive Search Partners. So he'll be very popular.
Okay, so living Denver, I'm surprised. I know you like Denver.
We have grandkids there, so just like you have grandkids in some other part of the United States, and
Seattle,
you go visit them. Yep. We decided that we would, have a place there where we could spend 6 months a year being around them.
Well, good. So one of the things that we always talk about towards the end is getting back to your website is you offer a bunch of things that should be on your resume. I think it's 12 points or something like that, not to be confused with the other, organization that does something along those lines. So why don't you talk a little bit about the resume? I mean, yeah, it's one thing to have all this experience, but how do you convey all that information to the prospective employers? Yeah,
well, there's two resources on our website, which is shameless plug, www.execsearchpartners.com. Two resources on there. One is a sample resume, and the other is a document you were referring to called 12 Steps for a Highly Successful Job Search. And it talks about, in the 12 steps, about how to get ready for doing your resume. Then it talks about the format of the resume. It talks about how do you do interviewing. Then it talks about how to close the deal. And it's documents that I started back in 1996, and I've been refining ever since. So, and keeping up to date with the latest trends.
Okay. And so, again, they can just find that at execsearchpartners.com. And they can also drop their resume there as well, right?
They can email it to me. Our email address is on there.
Okay.
But the best place to contact Executive Search Partners is we post all of our jobs on LinkedIn. And so one of the misconceptions about recruiters like us is we don't help people find jobs. All right. We help companies find people to fill those jobs. So there are companies out there that will help you market yourself to a whole variety companies. They might send your resume to 1,000 companies, something like that. That usually doesn't work. Usually better to apply directly for a job that you're qualified for, and use a resume that's focused on the needs of that job, and make sure that when somebody's reading it, they can see on your resume how good a fit you are to their specific requirements.
As a little exercise, I used ChatGPT to see if we could improve my resume, and came back quite interesting. Yeah, the AI clearly didn't understand what it is I do for a living. Of course, few people do. Sometimes I don't even know what I do for a living. Are you encouraging people to use anything like AI to kind of spoof, polish up or buff their resume up, or anything like that?
I haven't. I've done exactly what you've done. I've taken and looked at resumes and tried to. Sometimes, maybe your opening paragraph, you can ask it to make it sparkle a little more and stuff like that. But I have not seen a good. There probably is one out there, but I haven't seen a good resume creator. If you want a very specific format, I think it's better to write your own resume from scratch and make sure that it accurately reflects your background and who you are, and it's tailored for the particular position you're going for. And ChatGPT may be able to help you do that, but I think it's still a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's I've been getting flooded with stories about everybody going, "Hey, if you're an expert on Chat GPT, you can make $300,000 a year." It's one of those too good to be true kind of things. I realize, but hey, so
I've seen those things on YouTube and Instagram where people are saying if you use this website and this website and this website and use this technique, you're now going to be making
a
$1,000 an hour.
gazillion. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.